Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment, and I hope you all had a good weekend. And of course, if you're in the States, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving weekend. And the theatres most certainly did, because the movies that have been out and have come out have done pretty damn well over this weekend. And of course, the biggest winner this weekend was Moana 2, which it is and it isn't surprising. It isn't because, number one, it's a kids' movie. Two, people really liked the first one. And of course, three, it's a long weekend because it was Thanksgiving weekend. But it is surprising as well because, one, it is a sequel. Two, they're already making the live action remake as this movie has come out. And three, the response from a lot of people have been that it's not that it's terrible or anything, but that it doesn't quite live up to the first one. So it is interesting to see what it did, but it's also interesting because the big question was coming into the weekend, well, what's Moana going to do to Wicked and Gladiator? So we now have that answer. Wicked is doing quite well domestically, not so much internationally, which is quite surprising. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, it doesn't have the appeal outside of Broadway, that the European markets just don't like it. But Wicked was in London for quite a while and did really well. It comes to Dublin all the time and does really well. So I don't know where this argument is coming from that, oh, it doesn't do good internationally. It does. It is still very popular overseas. So currently, after what's now its second weekend worldwide, it has $359.2 million. That's huge. Now, it still hasn't broken even. It did cost $150 million, reported anyway, $150 million for this one. Apparently it cost another $150 million for part 2. So we're assuming that they've spent probably $200 million on marketing, but $100 million just for this movie. So the other obviously would be for part 2. So it needs to make in and around $450 million. It's probably absolutely going to get there. It's probably going to take a bit of time though. Now again, this is its second weekend. Domestic box office. Now, by the way, these could go up a bit or they could go down a bit. The international numbers actually over the week were going down, which was quite interesting. So they could go up or they could go down. Not by massive amounts. Well, it's usually not by massive amounts, but currently, at time of this recording, the box office stands domestically at $262.4 million. That's huge, especially for it only being its second weekend. However, internationally, it's only sitting now at $96.8 million. That's not good. And its original opening had the international box office at 50. It actually had it at 51, I think, on the Sunday. By the Monday, it went down to the 50. By Tuesday, it had dropped down even further to 49. So it's really interesting what's actually happening with the numbers for that movie. I can't quite understand the international numbers compared to the domestic numbers, and I can't understand how one is going down a fair bit and stay down. Now, as for Gladiator 2, well, this is now I believe it's its third week in the States, but it's like it's its second weekend in the US, but it's its third weekend in the rest of the world. Domestically, it is now sitting at $111.2 million. While internationally, it's only now at $208.8 million for a worldwide total so far of $320 million. Now, again, those numbers might go up a bit, might go down. This movie is struggling. It really is. Now, those numbers make it sound like it's doing really well, but the movie cost over $300 million to make. So it's got a hell of a long way to go, and it's not going to get there. Let's be honest. It's not going to get there. However, Moana 2, I should actually say, has just blown the doors off the box office for its first weekend. Now, the one thing do keep in mind with this, because they're going to try and say, oh my god, it smashed it. Its preview night was Wednesday. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. It was Tuesday. So this had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before the actual official weekend began for this movie. So it had a long run in. So, as of now, and again, these numbers could go up or down, domestically, it opened to $221 million. Quite impressive. Internationally, it's opened to $165.3 million. For a world box office of $386.3 million. That's crazy. And what's funny about that is that has blown past Wicked's budget, or not budget, sorry, box office takings in its first weekend. Wicked didn't make that much, and it's on its second weekend. Now, that kind of shows you that Wicked may have, may have blown its load right away. That everybody that wanted to see it has seen it. And of course, we are hearing now as well about the nightmares that are happening at screenings of Wicked with people singing at it and stuff. Apparently, I can't remember where it was, or which country it was. It could have been Japan or somewhere like that. That they were giving warnings to people about singing if they go and see the movie. Like the actual cinemas and the authorities apparently were like, do not go in and start disturbing people in this movie. So they do have that issue. Of course, they'll probably re-release it with one of those sing-along versions. That just sounds like the ninth gate of hell to me. I don't even like people even sitting close to me in the cinema. Never mind if the audience start breaking out to sing-song. I would lose my shit. Now, regarding how good these box office totals are for these movies, Moana 2, much like Wicked, has a reported budget. Now, because they weren't filmed in the US and stuff, well, I'm not sure where Wicked was filmed. I don't think it was filmed in the UK. The numbers could go up or they could go down. Well, they're not going to go down, but they could go up, because we're just going off of what Disney are telling us with Moana. But the reported budget on this is $150 million. So add on your other $100 million, $250 million. The movie pretty much needs to make $400. It's going to do that next week. So it's a massive opening. But again, what you have to keep in mind, and you'll see all the articles saying what a huge opening this is for this movie, blah, blah, blah. You have to keep in mind that they dropped it from Tuesday, last Tuesday. So it's had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the interesting is, the preview night, the Tuesday night, it made 13.8 million. Now, these are probably only the domestic numbers, but 13.8 million. The Wednesday, which was its first official kind of release day, it made $57.5 million. That dropped down quite a bit to the Thursday to $28 million. Then it went up again on the Friday to $54.5 million. Then on the Saturday it made $50.5 million. And the Sunday, $30.5 million. Now, there is something a bit strange about those numbers. The fact that all the 50s and the high numbers above the 80s and stuff, the second number is all 500. All of them. And an even 500. That seems a tiny bit strange to me. You know what I mean? So that just seems a little off, these perfectly round numbers. Yeah, something seems a tiny bit weird about that. But it is interesting. And the biggest thing that's interesting about this Moana 2 doing so well, so far anyway, is the fact that we now have one movie with The Rock that's number one in the country, or the world basically, and has a massive opening, compared to his other movie that is in cinemas right now, that being Red One, that's been one of the biggest bombs of the year. That is insane. How many times have you seen that? I can't remember, and it probably has happened, but I can't remember the last time I saw someone have not one but two movies in the cinemas at the same time. One's a massive hit and one is a gigantic disaster. And just to give you clarity over this whole thing with Red One, this is its third weekend, I believe it is, on a budget of $250 million. Domestically, it has only made $70 million. Internationally, it has only made $72.6 million for a worldwide total of $148.6 million on a $250 million budget, and it's its third week. Wow. So yeah, it's so bizarre. One movie with them is doing fantastic and the other is doing absolute disaster. So let's see what happens this coming weekend to see how these movies hold up. Does Moana 2 take even more eyes away from Wicked? Let's find out. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.